Hello and welcome to another episode of Earthworks Hub. I'm your host, Ivan Orlovic. With me today, I have a special guest, Luke McCrone. But before I start speaking with Luke, just a couple of things. I need to do a quick shout out to Melbourne Tractors, our sponsor. They are a Cabalco, ASV and New Holland dealer. So make sure when you need your next machine, you go and see these guys. The second thing I want to talk about is our episodes. Some people have asked me why we don't have video, but we do actually have video. So every episode has video along with the audio. So on Spotify, it has both. I know when you go to YouTube podcasts, they only have just audio. But what I've done is on my YouTube channel, Eagle One Industries, I've actually uploaded all the episodes so you can see video and audio. So if you want to see both, go to that, or so YouTube or Spotify, or the other option is Apple. Okay, so without further ado, Luke McCrone wears two hats. So he's in the earthworks industry as an owner-operator, but also one of the leaders for the Victoria Tippers United. Is that right?
Victorian Tippers United, that's it. Yep.
That's the one. So, yeah, look, before we get into that, can we just start with yourself? Like, what sort of got you in the industry? How'd you start, and what do you sort of currently do?
Yeah, sure. So I got into the industry through trucks. I've got a Scania gumboot, beautiful machine. So that got me in the industry about probably 7 years ago. I started with that, working pretty much through the plant hires. I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and then I decided to branch out into the machinery side of the business. So bought a Aussie track, Kubota SBL 75. Again, that's a really great machine. I love that. There are days when you're really looking forward to get out of it and get back into the truck for a little break. So that was going really well. And then I decided to go and buy a few more trucks. So now I've got, I'm up to 3 trucks. I got another Scania and a Western Star.
Uh-huh. Are they all just tandems, or have you got anything, like, are they trailers or semi-tippers or anything?
Yeah, well, I own a trailer for the Western Star, although it's done a lot of pulling the trailer as yet. Just waiting for things to pick up again. So there's one truck and trailer and 2 tandems.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's it. And so that obviously means you've got some employees in.
Yeah, I've got 2 employees, Luke and Scotty. So 2 good guys.
Yeah. Oh, good, very good. How do you go? Like, how do you find? Is there any challenges with employees and that, or is it sort of been pretty good for yourself?
No, it's probably the most challenging thing I've done in this industry is hire people. It has been, it's been really difficult. I had a couple of stutter steps along the way. I had one particularly bad egg recently that I got. I had to let him go, and it's been nothing but dramas since then. And probably actually leading up to letting him go, he was also a lot of headaches. But yeah, that's to me anyway. That hiring people and finding the right person has definitely been the most challenging part of the business.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm the same. I went through like a revolving door. I've had over the years a lot of sort of people come and go. And yeah, it's hard. Like when you get your good ones, you try and keep them.
Yeah.
But obviously, the good ones always end up leaving at one stage. So
yeah, and it's knowing when to. I don't know. Like maybe I'm just a little bit of a pushover. I'm not sure, but I think with this guy that didn't work out. Like I knew within a week hiring him, it wasn't going to work. But I couldn't pull the trigger and move him on at that time, which is when I should have done it. I sort of persevered with it for another 2.5 months, and ended up costing me a lot of money and wasted time. And that's something I think I don't do. I need to be better at that. That's an area where I need to be better.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, definitely. And the hard thing is, a lot of us probably haven't had any human resource management training. We're just owner operators that are putting people on, and then we're just learning as we go.
Yeah, look, I've because before buying the truck, I used to work for the Transport Workers Union, so I was there for a few years. So I've had a bit of experience in that area. So as far as what are people's rights and entitlements, I've got no problem with all that side of things. That's one of the few areas in this business that I've actually got some training in. But it's more I don't know, like getting them motivated, knowing when they're, yeah. But I mean, the guys I've got at the moment are really good. So, yeah, hopefully, we just need the work to pick up and then it'll be all right.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. What do you think about the situation at the moment? Like, I do hear a lot of people talk about a lull in the work environment. I have to admit myself, my phone's not ringing like it used to.
Yeah.
Like, how you handling that at the moment?
Look, it's funny. I think we went through a really busy period in this industry. If you go back 18 months ago, people were booking me in with the machine, and they didn't even have any real work. Like you'd be there for a couple of days, and then you spend a week sitting on site watching TikTok videos on your phone because there was no work for you to do. And you'd be asking, is there anything I can do? You'd be racing around site trying to find something to do. And in the end,
Yeah,
you spoke to the foreman, and he's like, "Look, mate, we just need you to be here at the end, and we're worried if we let you go, we won't get you back." So we went through this period where it was crazy, busy, and then the machine stuff, I don't know, 9 months ago maybe, it just seemed to really fall off a cliff.
yeah,
And then 3 months or 4 months after that, truck stuff sort of fell off a cliff. I reckon in the last 3 months the machine work has picked up again.
yeah,
Like especially through the plant hires. Like I do a lot of my stuff through the plant hires, and yeah, they've started to pick up again. Before that, the only real machine work I was doing was private stuff that I was able to find myself. There was just very little through the plant hire companies. Now
yeah,
the work's picked up through the plant hires, so that machine work is keeping me going at the moment, but the truck work is now very slow, which is hard when it comes back to that with employees. If it's just me, you can get through. It's easy to get through these tough times. If there's no work,
yeah,
you get a day off. It's not all downside. But when
yeah.
you got wages to pay every week, whether there's work or not, the pressure really is on. So
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things in our industry. Like I was saying in some of our other episodes, and we have a lot of days where there's no work. We've been rained off, or we've been heated off, or it's hard when you've got full timers and they get sent home early. You only get paid, the minimum hours, but you've still got to pay them for the full day. And there's all these little catches that people don't think about when they put people on.
oh, look, when I listened to that podcast you did on business advice, that advice to people that it's not a 5 day a week industry. You don't work, every week of the year. It's not 52 weeks of the year, less a few weeks for annual leave. I reckon 4 days a week is about sort of what if I can get 4 days a week, the way I've set myself up, I can do all right.
Yep.
If I can average 3 days a week, I can probably just pay my bills and tread water. Under 3 days, it gets very difficult. And if I can get, 4.5, 5 days, you can make really good money. But it's that challenge to try and get that constant work.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
And what about the future for your business? What do you sort of see the outlook will be?
It's hard to say. Look, I'd like to. It'd be really because at the moment I reckon I'm in a really difficult position because I don't have enough employees that I can afford to step back from the business and just sort of manage them and run them. But it's enough employees that it's a fair bit of extra work. You think, oh well, I send them a text message in the morning and tell them where to go. That's the end of the. No, there's a lot
Yeah.
more to it when you've got
Yeah. Yeah.
employees. If you think about it for guys with trucks, how much time do you spend chasing up little niggly things on your truck? Now you're doing that, but you're doing it 3 times as much because you've got 3 trucks. And frankly, your employees are not going to look after your gear as much as you do. Which is, it's not a criticism of the employees. Of course, they're not going to care as much about it. It's your bread and butter. It's really
Yep.
important to you. It's your, one of your main priorities. So, yeah, it's all those little things that happen. Like one of my drivers got the mirror off a truck in the yard where we parked the other day. just the mucking around that's involved in that, following up with the bloke whose mirror it was, trying to get it fixed, just all that sort of stuff. And you're doing that 3 times more of it than you were doing it before. So it'd be really nice to get to a situation where I had, I don't know what the sweet spot is. If you were to have 4 or 5 trucks, and then you can really just jump in when someone's sick or someone's taking annual leave or whatever. I think that'd be a nice spot to get to.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's two things out of that I noticed. One is you're right. I think there's like a tipping point where you get to a certain level, and I think I got to that tipping point, where you've got to either decide to put a manager on or you step back and handle things without actually being in one machine or one truck every day.
Yeah.
So there's that bit of a tipping point. So I don't know what that is either. You're right, but I got to about 8 guys, and I still tried to do everything.
You get crazy.
8 machines, 8 guys. Yeah, it was just.
You're wearing a hat because you've lost all your hair. Must have lost it all at that time.
Yeah, it all fell out. Yeah, it's all gone grey and fell out. But no, I remember like floating out machines for the guys that didn't have truck licenses after work, before work, and then I'd go and jump in, and someone will be sick, and then have to go and jump in that machine. And I think I was at that point where I could have put someone on as a manager or stepped back myself, but I was probably also at the stage where I didn't have enough to justify putting someone on in that role. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. It was just there's like a tipping point, but I don't know what that perfect point is.
I can't imagine like eight machine operators would be. I mean, I even noticed going from, say, looking for tandem drivers is a lot easier than looking for truck and trailer drivers, just because it's that bit harder. Again, it's that bit more technical. The pool of people out there that can do that work is smaller, and so it just gets harder and harder to try and find somebody in that sort of space. To try and find somebody that can operate machines, I think would be just as difficult. And to get 8 of them, Jesus, good luck.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing, we try and give people a go, and we want to train them up and try and help them out. And I'm all for that, like trying to help people, but it's hard when you go on a site and then the customer's paying you hourly and they expect you to have someone that can be in there 100% and doing everything they want, so
I was doing a combo.
It's hard to just train people.
I was doing a combo job today, having work for the truck. So I brought, because one of my guys is pretty keen to get into the machines, which is great. I want to help him with that. We had no work for the truck, so he came down to the job and I had him driving the truck on site while I was doing machine work. So I thought, the client's getting a pretty good deal out of this. And then I can chuck him in the machine, I can get him to load the trucks. When you're watching him do it, it's just, you don't sort of realise how much slower someone's going to be for the first time rather than when I'm doing it. And you just, you can feel the seconds ticking away as he's loading the truck, and you're like, Jesus Christ, they're paying us to be here. Even though I'd had him there for a few hours for free driving the truck, it was harder than I thought to actually get him out on a job and get him some time in the seat.
Yeah, no, it is. It's tough. And that's what I found. I found that getting the equipment and the trucks, and that was probably the easier part. Putting someone in that seat that can do everything you want is the harder part.
Yeah. And with trucks, you can know pretty quick whether someone can drive. Like, you take them for a test drive, they back the trailer, you can get a pretty good idea about whether they're going to be able to do the job. I think with machines, there's a lot more different sort of things you need to do. Like with the posi, loading trucks, trimming, just an eye for levels, all that sort of stuff. It's harder to try and quickly determine whether somebody's going to be good or not.
Yeah, it's true. And look, we all keep learning. I mean, to this day, I'm still picking up stuff. I watch somebody do something, and I watch them do it, and I say, "Oh man, that's heaps better than the way I do it." So
yeah, that's right.
I'll try their way, and it comes out good, and I'll start doing like that from now on. So even today, I was digging a spade edge with my excavator, which I've done a certain way, and I thought, you know what, I'll reverse the bucket, dig it sort of backwards, and it worked heaps better. So after all these years, I'm still learning. So it's just how it is, Yeah. Oh, that's good. So with the business and that, are you like doing all your own like paperwork and all that sort of stuff, or do you like outsource all that, or like all your invoicing, bookkeeping, and all that?
No, I do all that. Or I should say we, because my partner Lara, she does a lot of the, especially set up the bookkeeping for us. So we do all that ourselves, which is, I mean, I don't reckon everybody needs to do it all themselves, but everybody, like especially your BAS statement. Look, my own personal opinion is really, especially on the truck side of things, everyone should be doing that themselves because it gives them such a good look at how the business is going, how much you're spending, where you're spending it, and there's money in doing your BAS. Like we were talking the other day about the diesel fuel rebates.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Yeah,
Maybe you can explain a bit about that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can't tell you the exact figures, but it's about 20, give or take 20 cents a litre that you get back for diesel that you've purchased if you're going to use it on a public road. Because basically your diesel tax is made up of two parts. There's the excise and then there's the road user charge. And they're about the same. They're about 20 cents each, give or take. So when you're running a truck and trailer, for example, a lot of that diesel that you burn is going to be used on public roads, so you claim back the 20 odd cents. But if you're using that diesel to run earth moving equipment, or if you're using that diesel to operate your truck on site, so not driving on a public road at all, if you're operating on site, you can claim the excise back, but you can also claim the road user charge back. I mean, that's basically used to repair the damage that the trucks do to the roads. So if you're not driving on the roads, you're not doing any damage, so you get that money back. But a lot of people, they don't know. Like you talk to guys, like, I did 9 months working at the airport and all that work was off a public road. And you talk to the truck and trailer guys, like, hey, are you claiming back the higher amount or the lower amount? And they just didn't know because they just, at the end of the quarter, they handed their books over to a bookkeeper and they didn't have that understanding about how that all works, which I think if you're running a business, it's good to know how all those different sort of things work.
Yeah. No, I think you're right because I'm the same. I speak to a lot of guys and mention things like that, and they have no idea because they just think the accountant should know that. But I suppose accountants can't be specialists in every field, so they might not know all the exact details of what you do and how you run it. So you got to be able to tell them.
And look, a lot of the guys, especially in the trucks part of the industry, guys might have had a family tax person that did their tax when they were working on wages. Now they've gone and bought a truck. They just go to the same person, and they do their BAS and they do it like, they do BASs for the people that run the cafes on the street they live on or whatever, but they're not experts in this area. And I think they're missing out. Like especially if you go back through COVID, there was a lot of government money available, a lot of different grants and stuff that was available. And through my role at BTU, we were doing our best to make sure everybody knew about those, what was available, where they could get money, blah, blah, blah. And quite a few people were coming to me for help. How do I claim this? My accountant says I can't get it. And you just look at the way their accountant had set things up for them. And look, I'm not an accountant, but it was very different to how others had done. And it just seemed, to me, it didn't seem like they were getting very good advice. So, I suggested they go and get a second opinion. But yeah, you do wonder how well run some businesses are in the tipping industry, at least.
Yeah, and people could be missing out on some money that they could be getting back. So
yeah,
it's important for all listeners. If you're in a machine or a truck, make sure you talk to your accountant about the fuel tax credits and how it works because you could be eligible to receive some refunds.
Yeah, well, everybody. Like if you're running a tipper, you will be able to claim some of your diesel at that higher, guaranteed. Like there's, operating the hoist, there's other auxiliary equipment that runs off that isn't used in driving the truck on the road. So there will be some that are under that higher rate.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's good. Well, that probably leads me to the next section, which is about the VTU or the Victorian Tippers United.
Yep.
Can you maybe just talk us through that, like how it started and what it stands for?
Yeah, sure. So when I came into the industry, the rates were pretty terrible. I mean, tandems were getting, depending on which plant hire you were with. I'm with Fleet. The rate was $75 an hour for a tandem, and it had been $75 an hour for 5 or 6 years. It just didn't move. Like it was stuck, and it was showing no signs of movement. And it didn't matter whether it busy or quiet, it just stayed where it was. The contract rates would go up and down a little bit, but they were always pretty orderly. And so, along with another guy, Rob Norris, who's still in the industry, doesn't own his own truck anymore, but when I was at the TW, I'd worked with Rob to try and improve some things in the industry. So we thought, look, let's try and set something up. Nobody else was really interested in doing anything for tipper owner drivers. So let's set up an owner driver association of our own and see if we can do something about the state of rates in the industry. And it was pretty slow going to get it off the ground, to be honest. I think Rob and I sort of sent some text messages, spoke to a lot of people we knew that were interested in doing something. And so we had our first meeting at the Zagamis in Reservoir, and it was me and Rob. That was it. We were the only two people that showed up to it. And so from there, we had the Facebook page. We sort of got that going, spread the word on the Facebook page, Victorian Tippers United. And we did an online survey of what people thought about the situation in the industry with rates and conditions. And we had, 50-something people fill out the survey. And so then we called every one of them. As I'm driving along, I list and, you dial, talk, So I'd spent 2 weeks just talking to people on the phone, driving around. We had another meeting, we might have got 5 or 6 at that. We had another meeting, got 5 or 6 different people. And slowly we built up to the point where we had a pretty large meeting at a park in Fairfield. We elected a committee of guys.
I think I was there, Fairfield. Yeah,
You were coming along to the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I did come to one of those. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we elected a committee, and there were some really great guys from all different parts of the industry. We tried to set them up so there was some representation from each of the agencies, and so some really good guys jump on board. Rick Woolcock, who's still he's the treasurer of the VTU at the moment. He stepped up at that meeting. We had Avatar Singh came on board. We had Billy Patevsky came on board. Evan. Who else? I shouldn't have started listing names because then I'm going to forget someone.
Look, surely they won't get offended. That's all right.
That's
all good.
Dean Drummond. Who else? Probably forgetting someone important. Anyway, yeah. So we set up a committee, and away we went from there. So it was about trying to push the agencies into increasing rates, and slow going. We wrote to the agencies, we met with them, slowly, and then COVID happened, and that sort of shut everything down. It wasn't a good time to be pushing for rate increases. So we used that though as an opportunity to make sure everybody was aware of what was happening with the lockdown, how it affected us. We lobbied government to get some changes to improve things for tippers. We were initially classed as construction workers, which meant guys couldn't come sort of out. Guys that lived regionally, and a lot of tipper drivers truck, they might be in Gisborne or back at Smarsh or something. So those guys were prevented from coming into the city to work because they were construction workers. And we pushed to get that change so that we'd be considered to be delivery drivers. So that freed up a lot of people and made it easier for people to move around for work, which was great. We plugged people into a lot of the grants and stuff that was available for small businesses at the time. And then when we came out of COVID, then we started to push again for rate increases. So we got I forget the exact numbers, but I think we had 300 businesses that for example, we've got 3 trucks, other people have got multiple trucks. So we reckon that 300 that we had sign on probably represented about 500 or 600 trucks at the time. And so all these businesses wrote to their plant hire and said, look, we're appointing the VTU as our negotiating agent. We'd like you to meet with them to negotiate rates and conditions. And, from the moment we sent those in, we saw the rates started to move. So that was really good. So rates started to move for the first time in almost 10 years. They went up. And then fuel spiked, and we needed another rate increase because fuel had gone up 20, 30, 40 cents a litre, which is a big problem when you're running trucks.
Yep.
And so we went back to the agencies looking for another rate increase. And they were dragging the chain a little bit. Some had started to increase them, but we just weren't where we needed to be. So we called an industry stoppage, strike, or whatever you want to call it. We all got together at Big Park in Footscray, and there's probably 1,000 drivers parked up that day in protest over the rates and the failure to increase them in line with the increasing cost of fuel. So that sort of got a bit of attention. Things started to move a little bit, and at the same time, talking to the government about the rates on their project. Because the situation we have here in Victoria is we've got I don't know, maybe I should step back and talk about the government rates. So the government rates are something that we've been fighting for a long time. Guys like Rob and myself, we've been fighting for those for a long time. And basically, the logic here is that the state government, the Victorian state government, is the largest purchaser of, they're the largest hirer of trucks in the state. That's the way we look at it. All their major projects have got hundreds and hundreds of trucks on them. They are hiring those trucks, and we've said, look, the government should be best practice here. Like they shouldn't be getting trucks as cheaply as they can, because when you're not paying a truck enough money, where does that, where do they find the savings? It's not you can't do this job. There's no better way of doing the job. Like you get loaded at point A, you tip it off at point B, and you burn diesel. You burn about 2 litres of diesel, which is about half a litre of diesel per kilometre in a truck and trailer, and about a third of a litre per kilometre. Oh, that's just what you do. There's no better or clever or smarter way to do it. And if your rate gets cut, the only place you can take it out of your own pocket, and there's not enough money in it for guys to take it out of their own pocket, or you can take it out of the repairs and maintenance on the truck. And when you're taking it out of repairs and maintenance on the trucks are less safe, accidents happen, and we had a really bad track record in Victoria with fatalities in our industry. I think there were, before the government introduced these minimum rates, I think we'd had 14 fatalities in this industry in the preceding 3 or 4 years. That's just tippers. So most of them weren't the drivers. There were other road users that were dying, but one's too many. And so we were pushing the government pretty hard to say, look, you should be doing the best. You should be the best practice here. You should be paying a fair and reasonable rate that enables us to properly maintain our truck, make a living out of it, a small profit. That's what you should be doing on all your jobs. So that was a battle to get them to agree to that. It all came to a head. This was in about 2014, 2015, with a protest that we had. So one agency had the Tulla widening job. I think Fleet might have had it. They were paying $75 an hour. They were undercut by another agency. Can't say exactly who that was. I've got a fair idea who it was, but I don't want to say who it was in case I got it wrong. But another agency came in and undercut them, and they were down to $68 an hour, which was just you couldn't do it. So we blocked the Tullamarine Freeway for a couple of days. So we drove. We took about 30 or 40 trucks onto the Tulla Freeway, and we took every lane. We drove at about 10 kilometres an hour, up and down a few times.
I remember that on the news. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And then we did it again the next day. And look, and at that point, I got a phone call from one of the advisors to the Premier and said, look, this is silly. Let's see if we can sit down and work this out. And from there, we ended up with the government rates. So those government rates are mandatory on all state government funded projects. So your big Northeast Link's the big one at the moment, but anything from road maintenance, schools, anything like that, if you've got a truck on that job, you've got to get paid those minimum rates. So they're now $107 for a tandem, $150 an hour for a truck and trailer. So we've had these government rates for a long time. The VTU's done a lot of work to make sure they're actually paid, and there's been some big projects where those rates weren't paid. The biggest one was the Chisholm Road Prison project in Geelong. There were a lot of trucks on that for a long time, and it took us a little while, but we were able to get hundreds of thousands of back pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars in back pay for an work project. So that was a sort of a watershed moment, I suppose, in the industry. A lot of the agencies sort of sat up, and the construction companies too, sort of sat up for that shit. We don't want to be exposed to having those big back payments to make. So from there, we've sort of seen the rate being paid pretty well on government jobs. And, to jump forward to what I was talking about with fuel, so we were pushing, we'd had a strike to try and get the agencies to increase the rates on all jobs. But then we also wanted state government to increase the rate on their jobs, because they'd factored fuel into the cost model at I never remember. It was a lot lower paying for fuel at the time. So we'd been back and forth with the government. We weren't really getting anywhere, so we got we had 150, 160 trucks, and we parked them on the Westgate Bridge during rush hour, and then we did a bit of a procession into Parliament House, and we surrounded Parliament House, and within a couple of weeks we got that fuel increase on all jobs. So yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, that's a good achievement.
Yeah. By everyone, it's like and there were sticker trucks involved in that process, guys with E8 stickers on their trucks. So there were guys sticking their neck out a lot further than me. And yeah, by working together, we were able to achieve that, which is really good.
I think that's what it is, and even with machinery and equipment,
Yeah.
if we don't stick together and everyone just keeps undercutting each other, it's just going to keep reducing the rate lower and lower, and then it's just going to be so hard to get back up again. It's such a big effort.
And the machines,
it's like the same, yeah.
The machines are in desperate need of something like that. I mean, I was talking to a mate today, and he's in an excavator, $89 an hour or something. Really, it's
not much.
It's not much, because it's a highly skilled job. Like, you just can't put it. I've got my excavator ticket, and I spend a lot of time working in posi tracks. If you stick me in an excavator, and all I'm going to do is make a hell of a mess of your job. So you got these guys that are really good operators, got their own gear, and they're making peanuts. And I just
there's an imbalance at the moment. What I'm finding is that the rate that we get paid as an owner operator for our machine, and then what an actual good operator wants to be paid, it's an imbalance there. Like, what we get paid is not much more than what an operator wants. So it doesn't give us the opportunity to put good people on. That's the problem.
I don't know how you could hire somebody at 8. You couldn't do it at 8. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could do it.
No, it's very hard. Oh, and just going back to the trucks, I was just thinking how I had a chat with someone who does road freight. They've obviously got nice polished trucks and new things, and they always say to me, how come all the tippers are all so old always? And I always say it's because we're not getting paid enough to afford to run a brand new truck. You can't afford to do that. And then you had the government jobs asking for specific things on your trucks, like all these ratings and all these extras to be put on your truck, but for not much more money. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out, yeah?
Oh, and where does it end? Like, safety is important. We all love to see a safer industry, but some of the stuff, now I've got body up alarms, I've audible left-hand turn alarms, I've got handbrake alarms. There's everything in the truck. And now, you're reading about there's the Mickleham Road project. They're trialling some new system where there's a sensor on your passenger side, and a light will light up inside the cab to let you know if there's somebody in your blind spot there. I'm like, this is all great. Technology is wonderful, but, why are we wearing it? Like, why are we paying for it, subsidising all this stuff when everybody's interested in road safety, not just the person who owns the truck? Everybody's interested in it, but we seem to be the ones that just pay for it all the time.
It's true. Soon you won't be able to fart in your truck without an alarm going off, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's next.
That's it. So you've obviously got a lot of members, and you've obviously achieved a lot. I can see there. What are your sort of future plans? Like, what are you guys working on at the moment?
Well, at the moment, everyone's just working on keeping their heads above water. Like, it's really tough at the moment in the industry. I think the rates haven't fallen, which is what obviously the first thing you're worried is going to happen when the work drops off is that people will use this as an opportunity to try and screw the rates down. And they've come back a little bit. There was a period there where truck and trailers were making, over $2,000 a day every day, which is great, wonderful, but it was never going to last forever, right? So it was always going to sort of come back to reality a little bit. But I think we're still seeing, and people. The other problem is being one of the leaders of the BTU is nobody ever rings me to say, hey, Luke, I'm on this job, I'm making $1,800 a day, it's really good, I'm not burning a lot of diesel, it's really good. But nobody rings you to tell you that. People will ring you to tell you that they're on a job where the rate's rubbish or send you the messages where they're bad rate. So you can get, in the position I'm in, you can get a little bit of a skewed opinion about where things are at. For me, personally, the rates I'm getting are still relatively good. There's just not as much work. So that's what we're seeing, I think, at the moment. And when things pick up again, which I'm optimistic that they will. Like there's if you look at the infrastructure program for next year, the North East Link alone is set to have, depending on who you talk to, but the project is telling us that they're going to have north of 250 trucks a day on that project. And that's Sparks, that's one section of the North East Link. There's other sections of the North Link as well. So when that project could be taking as many as 350 trucks a day. Now that's a big bite out of the number of trucks there are in Melbourne. So even if you're not on that project, it should see demand increase across the board. And there's other big jobs on the agenda as well. They're talking about starting the suburban rail loop, some possibility that the airport rail link might be back on the agenda. So, I'm pretty optimistic about next year. It's just a matter of surviving to get there. And once the work picks up, our goal is to try and have those government rates paid as a minimum across the board. So that's mainly for the tandem guys, I think, because the government rate's actually not too bad for tandem. The other thing we need to do is we need to fix up the truck and trailer rate on those jobs because I think the government hasn't properly accounted for a lot of the costs of running a truck on the road, and so we'd like to see that fixed up over the next couple of months.
Oh, good. No, that's good. I just think it might be a good opportunity for people to do some maintenance on their trucks and that too now. I suppose if you're not working and you've had something that you want to fix for a long time, now might be the best time before the big rush starts, like you say. You're stuck later on trying to do everything the last minute.
Although it's a funny because it's a bit of a catch-22, right? It's like now you got the time to do the repairs and maintenance, you just haven't got the money.
No money, yeah. I hear you. I suppose, yeah. When you think of it like that, that's true.
So it is hard, but people should be using it as an opportunity to because some stuff not expensive to fix. You just get on top of it and make the truck a nicer place to be. You spend a lot of time in it. I mean, you can go and clean it.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, that's our office, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, I could take some advice from myself there. Mine's a pigsty. I should go and clean it next time I get a day off.
Yeah. But also, going back to that, like in the previous episode, we spoke about, about when there's a lull. It's also about building relationships while you're working, putting in your best while you're at work. So that way, when there is a bit of a lull, you're the person that stands out and they call you back. You know what I mean? And then when it comes time to negotiating rates, you've got a better chance of keeping your rate or going up because you're a good performer and you prove yourself always. So it's always good to put in that little bit extra and make yourself stand out.
And what you're saying there about the relationships, I think that is spot on. Like this, something that I've sort of realised as I've gone along. This isn't we're in a relationship business. Like if you can make and maintain good relationships with everyone, it's not just customers, but other drivers, other operators. That's your best chance, I think, of running a successful business in this space. It's about having good, strong relationships with people. Whether it's for those of you who are getting a lot of work through your plant hires, the people who work in the office at the plant hire, clients that you deal with, other drivers, because they can give you advice. If you get stuck, they can help you out. It's just about having good, trying to build a good network in as many places as you can. That's really, in my opinion, is the best thing you can do for your business this time.
Yeah, it's true. I still do that. I call call other guys, and ask them, well, what's the closest tip, or or how do I fix this thing on my machine that's making the noise, or or anything, or have you got any work that you can't handle, you've got too much, and they handball some work over it. That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, finding good tipping options. I mean, that's a great example. I mean, that can make that can be worth an extra $400 or $500 a day to you if you've got a tipping option, especially if it's free when you're doing
Yeah,
private work. So and
yeah,
you might talk to somebody who's going to be needing dirt, and so it's just about having that that connection with people. Cool.
yeah. True, true. Yeah, no, it's been a really good chat. Is there anything that I haven't sort of asked that you wanted to cover, or anything like
Um,
that?
I don't know. Like I was looking through the questions in terms of technology that people are using at the moment. Um,
Yeah,
it's a bit out of the box, but one of the ones I've been mucking around with lately is Chat GDP. I don't know if you know too much about that. So the
yeah. I hear a lot of you can ask a question and it answers everything for you. Is that the one?
yeah, but I mean, obviously it can't tell you how to dig a hole, but what I've
Yeah,
been able to get it to do, so when you work through the plant hires, at least one of the bigger ones, they're all doing e-dockets nowadays. So you or your driver fill out the e-docket on your phone, you give it to the client, um, they sign it. It's all done electronically. And so then what I was doing at the end of every week, I'd sit down and I'd type in a spreadsheet, what the job was, who was the driver, how many hours they worked, how much money I made on that job that day. And when it's just you by yourself, it's not too big a headache. You might work 3 or 4 days a week, takes you 10 minutes. But then all of a sudden you've got 3 trucks, a machine. It starts to take a lot of time. So I wondered whether ChatGDP could write a program for me to automate it. Now, I've never done any computer programming at all. Never, I use Excel, so I can type a formula in Excel, but that's about the extent of it, right? So I got ChatGDP, and I just type in there. I said, hey, can you write a program that'll go through my emails and extract this information I'm looking for out of my emails and put it in a spreadsheet for me? And it took a little bit of mucking around, but it did it. Like it wrote a program, and
there you go.
I had to ask it, what do I do with this? It spit out a bunch of code. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. And what do I do with that? And it said, oh, well, you download Python and you put it into just any text. Anyway, it told me how to do the whole thing, and now I've got a little program that at the end of the week I just double click on it, bang, it automatically puts it into a spreadsheet for me. So it takes 1 minute instead of
Yep,
taking half an hour. And yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
yes, little things like that. And that's the really great thing about, one of the things I really love about running your own business is, when I was an employee, if you did, you found some clever way of doing something, didn't really help you much. You did it, and
Yeah,
it's not as if, oh great, you've done this thing, you've saved us half an hour, you can go home half an hour early. No, let's see, have something else to do. Whereas
yeah,
when you're running your own business, you've found some way to save half an hour a week. Well, that's time you can choose to invest it somewhere else in your business, or you can spend a little bit more time with your family. You've
yep.
you've done it, and now you enjoy the benefits of it instead of somebody else getting the benefits of it.
That's so true. There
Yeah.
you go. So ChatGPT, is that something people have to purchase, or is that
No,
just a
no,
free
that's
thing?
so you can pay a subscription that gives you. So when I sort of first got on, it was pretty new, and so there was a lot of people trying to use it, and you would often write it a question. It would take quite a long time to get back to you because
Hmm.
the amount of people using it at the time. Whereas if you pay, you're going to get your question answered straight away.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but you don't have to, and there's other free, like Bing, I think, has got some sort of artificial intelligence. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was, that's something I've done, and I thought that was pretty useful to our business. So, and there's no doubt there's other things you can do with it. It's just somebody cleverer than me that needs to think of it.
No, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people will look into that.
Yeah.
Um, no, fantastic. Now, for people that aren't members or don't know much about the VTU, how can they find you guys? I know you've got a Facebook group, and what about any other way? Or
Yeah, so the
how?
main way we do it, because we're all volunteers, so we discussed earlier the pressures of running a business, managing employees. So the amount of time we've got to put into it isn't as much as we'd like. So we all the guys on the committee work in the industry. I should mention the other guys on the committee that we've got at the moment. So we had the guys that were elected early days. Our committee is now made up of myself, Ricky Woolcock, who does a hell of a lot of the work. I'll give a big shout out to Ricky. He's the treasurer. Rob Norris is the president. We've got Dragon. I'm not even going to try and I'll mangle his surname, but Dragon, who's the vice president. And then the ordinary committee members, we've got Greg Gorgon, we've got Ram Singh, we've got Evan, again, Evan, you know who you are, Evan. I don't know to say your surname. And I think that's the committee at the moment. So yeah, we all pitch in and do a little bit, but we don't, we're not as slick as we would like. We do have a Facebook page, which is probably the main way to communicate with people. I'm always, spend far too much time on Facebook at the moment. And that's Victorian Tippers United. If you look us up on Facebook, you'll be able to find us. We've got a website, which is ownerdriver.org. Because we started out with tippers, and we're pretty much just tippers still, but we did have a bunch of asphalt carters get in touch with us looking for some assistance and representation. So we've got some asphalt carters as part of it as well. I don't really do machines because, I don't know, it seems a bit hard, honestly.
Yeah, might be something we're going to look at. Yeah, that's right. Do other states have their own thing, or is Victoria the only one that sort of started this off?
Yeah, it's really only Victoria. I know the TW is a lot more active in New South Wales for the tippers. I think they've got a much better job up there than what was happening here in Victoria. So they've got a bit of a tippers owner driver section of the TW up there. But yeah, I think that's about it really, as far as representation for the tipper drivers goes.
Oh, very good. It's good. It's good to have some sort of representation to make sure that we're getting paid right and conditions are good. Because, like you say, it didn't change for many years.
No,
so
it's not as if. I mean, I don't subscribe to the view that some people do. It's the evil plan. That's the problem. It's the evil builders. I think there's a lot of people in this industry that are really genuinely trying their best to pay good rates. I mean, I speak to a lot of the plant hires regularly, and I don't think they're out there trying to rip us off, but it's just, it's a cutthroat business, and they're trying to run businesses the same as what we are, and they're they've got people that they employ that they need to keep, and they need to keep the money coming in, and that's it's just part of how it is. Like, if they're not getting any work, they're going to try and go a little bit cheaper to get it. So I don't think there's anyone to blame for the situation we found ourselves in. And everybody, and it doesn't matter who you talk to, it doesn't matter which plant hire you talk to, it doesn't matter which builder or construction company you talk to, they all say, well, it's, you guys are the ones with power. If you just refuse to work for a shit rate, then we would have to pay better rates. And I think that's, there is a bit of truth to that. I think it's a bit simplistic because, if you've got a loan on your truck and it's 12% interest and you've got to make those payments and you haven't worked in 2 or 3 weeks, it's all very well and good for someone who's established in the industry like me or you to say, oh well, just knock back a bad paying job. It's hard for the newer guys that have got the loan. So I don't think it's you can't just say, oh well, it's all the drivers. If they just refuse to work for bad rates, the industry would fix itself. But it is, it's a big part of it. If enough of us stuck together, then yeah, we would see rates continuing to rise. Because there's money in the industry. Like, there's money in this industry. You go and have a look at the EBA that the CFMU members on these big projects enjoy. I mean, they're on 50 something bucks an hour. That's what, and all they're bringing to work's a lunchbox. Now, then they go straight on to double time and they get side allowance. They get all this stuff, and they're not sending anyone broke doing that. We're building stuff like we've never built it before. So there's money here. It's just about making sure that it's being fairly distributed.
Yeah, very well said. Very well, I agree. Oh, cool. No, look, if there's nothing else, I just want to thank you for coming out and having a chat on this episode. It was really, really, really interesting to sort of hear about, how the VTU started and how far you've come with it. So congratulations to
Yeah.
you, the whole team for that.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, and my hat goes off to you. I mean, you're balancing obviously your life, your home life, your owner business or business owner, your the VTU leader, and yeah, it must be a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but I do enjoy it. I don't know why. Something's wrong with me. I was dropped on my head as a child. I'm not sure, but I do. I enjoy the challenge. It's
Yeah,
it's good. I like it. Helping people out, seeing the industry as a better place now than it was when I came into it. I think it's something like, it's good. Makes me feel good. I like it.
yeah. Well, it makes you keep going. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. All right. No, thank you very much. To all the listeners out there, don't forget earthworkshub.com.au. That website's still in construction. I keep saying that every week, but it is getting there. I'm working on it sort of by myself, so I'm learning and creating at the same time. Look out for more episodes like this. We've got a lot more guests coming up. Look out for our socials. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, uh, YouTube. So, and then I've also got the Eagle One Industries side of that too. So you can check out any sort of updates and some of our little things that we post anytime. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Luke.